Good morning, everybody. It's Jean-Marie. I am going to work on the bar-styled necklace, bracelet, and earrings that I posted in the Bargain Bead Box Facebook page. It is made with my, with the July Bargain Bead Box, the Desert. Oh gosh, I can't even remember what it's called now. That one's Sunken Treasure. This one is Desert Sands. There we go. Made with the Desert Sands box. It's a pretty simple project. I have made this design many times in different colorways with different sized beads, different colored metal tones. So it's really not that difficult. And these are the tools we will need. You will need some fairly sturdy wire. This one is a 16 gauge. Anisa's jewelry wire, even though it's a 16 gauge, isn't super strong as far as hard to bend, but it's a good sturdy metal. You will need a hammer block and a hammer, and if you do not own one, anything that is flat and smooth and sturdy can be used as a hammer block. I, in the past, have actually used a brick with a baking sheet turned upside down on it to give it a smooth surface, and my household hammer. So, you know, improvise. You can find something that will work. So I'm going to work right off the spool, so there won't really be any measurements. And as you can see, this is a pretty sturdy wire, but at the same time it has some good flexibility to it. And the beads I'm going to use are these matte Picasso beads and the little green rondelles that we received in the box. I am going to use some chain. I actually am going to use some lobster clasps just because the toggle is a bit large for this project. I'm going to use some 24 gauge silver wire to wrap with, and some jump rings, and some type of sturdy tool, whatever you should happen to have. Even you could even use the the bail making plier. So anything will work. Actually, I think I will use this today rather than this. I have used this in the past and it's super easy. You're just making half bends, essentially going back and forth to create the kinks. But I will use the bail making pliers today because that's probably something most people can relate to a little bit better than just a piece of copper tubing. Alright, so to get started, I'm just going to blunt my end, which I just did, and I'm going to use the fourth largest bail of my bail making plier. I'm going to come down just a bit. I'm going to need some end up there, so I want to leave that end and create a bend that's not super sharp. And then I'm going to go into it on the other side, bend back, and oops, get the right one. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth like this to create that little sandy swirl from the desert sand look, I guess. That was my thoughts when I saw this box anyway. I thought, well, that would be perfect with this project that I've made a few times. The only problem with the wire I have, it is a coated wire, and that coating will flake. So for the necklace bar, I need 7 total bends. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm there. Actually, I have one too many, but that's okay. We can straighten that one back out. So I'm just going to cut it back off. It doesn't look pretty at the moment. So I'm going to straighten this one back out. Somewhat, anyway. Okay. So essentially we have this. Now at this point I am going to kind of compress them just a little bit. Make sure I still have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Okay. I'll try to straighten this just a little bit more. So I have 2 kittens now. Decided to get an extra one for my granddaughter. And if you can hear them, they're wrestling at my feet at the moment. She named hers Waffles, which doesn't surprise me because that's what she wanted to name mine originally. Alright. So I'm just going to do a little tweaking. You know, bring our loops into a nice straight formation. There. So we have this. See, my wire is starting to peel. It's not good wire. So you really should use something like a good para wire or anything that's just not coated. If I was using bare copper, it wouldn't be coated and it wouldn't peel like this, but this is the silver I happen to have at the moment, and that's what the box theme is silver, so I wanted to stick with silver. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So then we're going to wire in beads, just like this. And then we're going to put our green down here so that basically it has that alternating look. And that's where the other wire, the 24 gauge is going to come in, is it's going to create that, the wrap for us. Alright, but I'm going to hammer this first. I do need to get my block down because I didn't do that. And my hammer. Oops, sorry. Moving things. Alright. So basically what I'm going to do is just hammer away. Not super hard, just some taps. Can't hammer this one too hard because it will cause my coating to peel, but and a little bit extra on the ends, the points. It gives it a nice rustic look, which is kind of in keeping with this whole theme of this box. So essentially, this is what we've got now. It's a little flattened. It has that textured-ish look to it, and it also gave it a lot of strength. It did, however, also peel my wire, but we'll make do. So at this point, I'm going to go up and cut these off. So they're about 3/4 of an inch length. Oop, the doggy's crying. She wants to go out. My son's dog is here. I'll be right back. Alright, so now we have this bar. I'm just going to take my round nose, which I did not get out evidently, grab the end of it, and just form a loop on the edge. Just like that. And that's what we have now. And this is a very rustic look. So, you know, don't be super picky on it. You know, my two sides aren't even. My loops are not even. That's fine. That's, you know, it's the very organic look to it that we want. Alright, let's get that out of the way. And get back to this piece. And I'm going to pull off, oh, probably a foot, maybe a little over a foot of my 24 gauge wire. And this is just the wire that comes from Walmart. So I like to start by putting it through my loop. Generally I kind of hold it down like this, and then my first 3 wraps I just put right over the tail of that wire, and then feed on one of our brown beads, or Picasso Jaspers. I'm going to straighten this out a little bit. Get a bit of a kink in it. And then it sets right in there. And wrap this way. 1, 2, 3. Try to keep them fairly close together. And now we're on the bottom section, so we're going to put on a green. So we're going to take the blue bead and just push it into this bottom one, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to, well, I do want to flip it over so I'm wrapping in the right direction. 1, 2, 3, and just squish them together. If your fingernails aren't strong enough to do it, just use your pliers or anything that will work for you. And it's really just as simple as this. We're just going to keep putting the beads in. And wrapping. It's a very simple process. Yep. Peanut butter under my fingernail. Can you tell I had peanut butter toast for breakfast? 3. Squish them together. It goes really quick. I got too many beads, evidently. My granddaughter is here, so you can hear the TV in the background. Apologize for that. A lot of new noises is in this house. My son, the dog, 2 cats. A lot of new noises. And then I'm just going to wrap again right up here. Gotta give it an extra just because it's the end. And there we have it. Now at this point, if you wanted to give it a little curve, you could. I like it kind of straight. But there is the necklace portion. So I'm just going to get in here with my cutters. We're just going to clip those in a spot where we can just tuck the little end. So I'm just going to roll it to the inside here, pinch it in best I can, that. I think that's pretty good. This one, I think this, apologies for the noise, everybody. It's going to take some adjusting to get used to that. So this one here, where I wrap right over it, I'm just going to grab it and give it a twist until it breaks off. Oops, and it usually, there we go. So at this point, all you're going to need to do is just figure out how long you want it, add your chain with a couple of jump rings. I have no idea how long this piece of chain is. I've already made one with it, so I'm just going to add a few jump rings here. Again, like I said, this is really a very simple project to make. As much as I've paused in this video today, this is going to be all piecemeal. Oh well. It's life, right? You can hear a panting dog in the back. That's not me. Come on now. Some days my fingers are useless. Because I was on the keyboard all night at work last night, so they don't want to work this morning. And the links on these chains are so tiny. I love this chain though, it's so dainty and pretty. And such a pain. There we go. Alright. So at this point I would separate my chain and put my lobster clasp on it at whatever length I deem it needs. I'm not going to do that because I've already made this necklace once and I don't really need two of them, so I probably will be separating it again, putting my beads back into my, and just saving the bar to do something else with. But that is the necklace portion of it. It's very pretty, I have to say. I do love this design. My wrapping job wasn't the best, but oh well. Like I said, it's very organic. So that is the necklace. The bracelet is, again, the same wire. And I actually do the same amount, 7, so it's going to be exactly the same length as this one. I'm just going to start up here a little bit, just like I did for the necklace bar. Just make it very simple, gentle curves. Try to keep track of how many I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Again, we're going to clip that wire right off. And again, I'm just going to kind of start forming them back into a little bit of a tighter section. Now you can see I've got this one way longer than I've got this one. It is not going to make a bit of difference. If it bothers you, go in and, you know, take your pliers and just give it a little more of a curve. But honestly, I would just leave it otherwise, but I do want to show you that you can just readjust, or you can really mess it up like I probably have just done. It's wire. It's very forgiving. So just manipulate it into what you want it to be. Okay, there we have that part. And again, we're going to come in and hammer. Probably don't need to really do it on camera with you guys again because it is a little loud. So I'm going to pause and finish that. Okay, so that is done. And at this point, we're just going to do the exact same thing. This would work really well if you had like square copper wire, because essentially that's all it's doing to this wire is turning it into a square wire. For the most part anyway. Not exactly, but along those lines. You want to make sure you get those in so they touch really well, so that your jump rings are not going to sneak through. Oop. There we go, nice and tight. Okay, if you have a bracelet bender, which is this, you see the shape of it, you can go ahead and use that. Generally, I just keep giving it little short bends all the way up it, and it just gives it a nice bracelet curve, so that when it's on your wrist, it fits nicely. You do not have to use that. You can just free form it with your hands, or use another good thing to use is just a prescription bottle. Just, you know, bend it over a prescription bottle. Anything you have on hand that you can give it a little bit of a curve with. I do want to grab these ends and just bend them in ever so slightly, so it sits more like this. And again, we're going to pull off the 24 gauge wire. Again, just about a foot, maybe a little more. Do the same thing. I'm going to push it through the hole here and just wrap a couple of wraps right over it. Push them right together, and we'll start with our beading. Exactly the same as the necklace, other than giving it a little more curve. Alternating our beads the same. In the past, when I've made this, I've done it just one color bead. I didn't alternate between two different colored beads. This was actually the very first time I've ever done it, alternating the beads, and I really do like the look of it. So I might have to start doing that again. Hey Jinx, what you doing? Hi baby. What's the matter? You can see it goes really fast. Wiring these on is a very, very, very simple wiring technique. Nothing too tricky to it at all. But the end result is so pretty that it looks like you really, he really did some creative wire work. So Jinx is a little bit of a whiny baby, in case you hadn't noticed. Yeah, and there is the bracelet portion. So again, I'm just going to come in and snip this, leaving just enough to push over the edge and tuck it in. And this one I'm just going to grip. Just do the twist method. Whoop. Generally this works a lot better. But there is nothing now poking out. Hey Lily. And there is our bracelet section. And because I don't have any other chain out at the moment, I am going to take it off. No, I'm not. I'm going to just get some chain out. Stop being so lazy. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got some chain out. It's fairly similar. And I'm going to cut off these little links. Oh, about, and this will actually vary depending on what size you want your bracelet to be. But I think it's just like a link over an inch. And I want 4 of them because it's a small chain. If you're using a heavier chain, you don't necessarily need to double your chain up on the sides. You don't really need to anyway. I just like the, gives it a little more bulk. So there's 2. Three and well, if I could hold on to it. Definitely gonna have to order some more chain before I do any more projects because I've already used up everything from the box. Alright, there's my 4 links of chain. Let's get all these little chain pieces out of the way. Grab my jump rings again. And for some reason they are all stuck together. Whoop, sorry. And then I'm just going to put on one and 2. Close that one up. And get on the other end. Try to give myself enough room here. Alright, there's that so far. And I'm going to grab the toggle from the box for now. I would rather have a lobster on it or a smaller toggle, but I am going to use this one for now because it's right here. I forgot where I left stuff. Try to catch these two chains again. And I need one more jumper. Alright, and this is done. Let's see if I can clasp it. Well, I cannot. I'm not very good at clasping. Even a toggle on my wrist. Okay. So I've got it on there. So, yeah. Looks very pretty. Alright, now for the earrings. Earrings are real simple. We're only going to use 5 bends for the earrings. And they're a nice little hanging bar earring. So again, just like before, and put in a bend. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now at this point, I want to just straighten that out. I'm going to cut it off. Okay, now I know it doesn't look like much at the moment. I do need to put a little more bend in this side. There we go. So again, just work on our little curls here, little bends. Alright, now I need to straighten this one out. Actually, I think I'll use this. Just stand it up. And you want them both standing up, whereas the other on the bracelet and the necklace, they were straight out. They're going to go this way on the earring. Get those curves looking good. Get everything nice and straight. Now at this point, I am going to cut this one down just a little bit. And again, I'm going to hammer the earring. Oops, I do want to take the longer end and put my loop on it. Just like that. Just get the whole thing of hammering. Flip it over and give it a little more on the other side just to get it all nice and flat again. Now at this point I'm going to taper off by hitting and dragging this end. That is the ending of, and if it's sharp, And just take a little emery board and just kind of round out your edges. My emery board's about had it. Time for some new ones, I think. Just round it off so it's no sharp pokey bits. Make sure the earring loop portion is tight. And there you have it. We are going to do the same. We're going to put a brown, a green, all the way down it, and just wire them on just like we were. Don't need quite so much wire this time, so I'll probably pull off about 8 inches. Same exact technique. Get the hammer block out of the way. Feed on my bead. Oops. Try not to catch that in there. Oh, get over there where you belong. There we go. And because of time constraints, I'm not going to make both earrings. The other one's going to be made the exact same way. So just repeat this process for the second earring. Well, this one is not going to break pretty. I'm just going to give it a little trim out in there. So I'm just leaving a little bit over this. Then I can take it and round it right in and push it down, tuck it away. And there is our completed earring. And for these, because they are a long earring, I generally just use a ball post just to help shorten them up a little bit. And I think I bought a whole big package of those from Amazon a long time ago. And they've lasted really well. They don't seem to tarnish up, so they're pretty good. I do, however, have my fingerprints all over them, evidently. Whoop! Now at this point, when you make your second earring, if you choose to make them hang, you know, mirror image of each other, you would just put your, yeah, let's get this closed. You would just hang your ball so that you're doing this, you know, and then you can have them, so your little curves are facing opposite of each other when they're wearing them on their ears, or you can put them exactly the exact same way and have them hang exactly the same. That is a choice that is 100% up to you. But essentially that is the process. I think on this one I need to add a little more chain. I might have cut it just a little bit too short actually. It was very tight putting it on my wrist. I do have a chunky wrist. I wear like a 7.5, so. But again, when you make yours, adjust it to what is comfortable for your wrist. Or you can make the bar portion longer. You could do it with 9 loops instead of 7 and give you a little more bar to it. But I kind of like it to set kind of just on my wrist there. So let me get this put on a form and I will show it to you. And here is the completed set. So you got this pretty bar necklace with your length of chain. You've got the same bar bracelet and the matching bar earring. So again, guys, this is the Bargain Bead Box. Thank you for joining me. This is July's Bargain Bead Box, Desert Sands. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this process and this project. And give it a try yourself. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye.